Welcome back everyone to another episode of the Football Analytics and Rants Show. Today we'll be discussing about the transfer rumors, some of the big transfer rumors that have been happening in the last few weeks. We were originally planning to include Rafa Varane as one of it, but since it got confirmed, so we cut it off the list. So coming to our first, it's Samuel Umtiti. Samuel Umtiti is being linked with Lyon, and Lyon are setting up a plan apparently to buy him from Barcelona. And it helps them because Barcelona themselves are trying to offload several of their players because they could not meet the requirements. Like La Liga, there is you can't pay your players more than a certain amount of wages. Like the total wage bill should be under a certain amount, and since Barcelona have crossed that amount, especially with their recent signings, they will not be able to register those players unless and until they bring their wage bill down. So they're trying to offload some of these players, and the players that are most highly to leave include Umtiti, Lenglet and Pjanic. So they are looking to offload him, and this would actually work in favor of Lyon, who can negotiate very much easier deal and get him through. And as far as Lyon are concerned, no, he has not been consistent for Barca. I think he's got a lot of criticism, and most of the time he's not even starting also. But as far as Lyon are concerned, he's still quite a good player. I think he's 27-year-old. He's won the World Cup and he's a quite accomplished player. So for them, I guess it will be a very good deal having an experienced player like him. And for Barca also, it will work both ways. So I'd say if this is happening, I don't see any surprise in this. But it all goes down to whether Umtiti wants to leave or not. It's all up to him. And Barca certainly would want to sell him for some amount of money, not to let him go for free, especially also with their current financial situation. So Elijah, what do you have to say regarding this?
Yeah, so like Jittu said, the problem is with I think 2 years back, Barcelona's wage bill was among the highest in the world. It was up to some outrageous amount in hundreds of millions. And last season it was at 170 million, and this season it is I think at 70 million. So year on year, based on their, so how the FFP works is your income and your expenditure should have some ratio. So if that doesn't match that ratio, so basically the thing is your club should not run at a loss, because they don't want owners to just abandon the clubs and go away, and clubs will go into administration. So neither of the leagues want it, and FIFA also doesn't want it. So based on that logic, you can't spend more than you want. There's some logic like that. I don't know the exact thing of how FFP works, but to be general, it's like if you get 100 million, you can spend 100 million. If you get only 80 million, you can spend only 80 million. Something like that. So what happens in La Liga is that generally how the FFP works is, suppose the 2021-22 season is going on, so they'll see all the money that you have got throughout that particular season, and they'll see how much you spent on player sales, wages and all of that. And if you go past a certain limit, they'll either penalize you like it happened for Man City, or they might give you a transfer ban like it happened for Chelsea. So the difference in Spain right now is La Liga has a software system in which when you make new signings or contract extensions, you are supposed to register them through that software. So each club is given that software, and you have to do it through your computer. So it's a central database through which you have to register your players. So what happens is, in that central database, your accounts and all will be put in that. So the expenditure, your wage bill, the salaries of all the staff, everything will be there in that. So after it hits a certain limit, so if there's a mismatch between how much money you're getting in and how much money you're throwing out, the software will automatically stop registering new people. So even if Barcelona can somehow do something and all, they can't actually register player, because even if they can bribe people or some nonsense like that, this is a computer generated thing, so you can't, I don't know, you could hack computers I guess, but I don't think that's an option. So So that's how it works in La Liga. So they have a software, and if it doesn't match in that, you can't register. So you can't like send files to people and register. It's all through this online software, which is why teams like Barcelona primarily are in the news. And I've heard that even Atletico Madrid are trying to cut their losses and offload a few players or offer them reduced wages and like offer to compensate them in the future seasons if they have a longer contract. So yeah, that was the whole FPP situation, FFP situation. Yeah, so coming to the Umtiti situation, they've been trying to offload him for quite a while now because, like I had said a few episodes back, he has a enormous wage bill for a player who's not been playing first team football. And he's been injured for so long that I think the amount of time he's been injured for is more than the amount of time he's spent on pitch. And for a player that you've paid lots of money to get in and whom you're paying regularly week in week out to play, and he's not able to manage that, it does not mean good for your team, especially a team which needs good defenders. So Barcelona trying to offload him, but apparently Umtiti refuses to leave. He's like, no, I can prove myself, and that his idea that no, I can prove myself that I can stay in this squad and play well. So any player would not want to just leave a team. They'll want to prove themselves before they move on elsewhere. They don't want to be labelled as that failure at so-and-so or that flop from so-and-so club has moved here. So everyone wants to prove themselves. But Koeman has apparently said that I don't find a place for him in my squad. So if you can sell him off, sell him off. But Umtiti does not want to leave, and he's made it very clear. But Barcelona have also made it abundantly clear that we will mutually terminate the contract, which means that there will be no penalties on either side. Any price that comes for you, we will take it off and send you wherever you want to go so you can play regular first team football. So based on that, we've had multiple rumors, and Jitu was saying that there are talks from Man City, there was talks from Lyon. At one point there was talks from Everton and Leicester and all kinds of places, but I don't know how much of that is true. But the Lyon rumor seems strong because we've been reading it in the news for quite a while now. So if he does move, it might be good for him, and I'm not saying that Lyon is a smaller club or anything of that sort, but I think it'll at least be a step down in expectations for him, because here he's earning an astronomical wage, and if he doesn't prove for that every week, any small mistake that he does, he's going to get like bashed by fans, by everybody everywhere. So compared to that, Lyon, if he moves to a new club, they also have the reason that he takes time to settle down. And maybe if he does manage to get in and get regular game time, he might improve and prove Barca wrong, that maybe they should have held on to him. So I think this is a thing that might happen because Barcelona want him out so they can get some money and save some wages. But there's also a possibility. But I am like more on the 70-30 side. 70% is going out. 30% he might not go out because of the complex contract situation that happened at Barcelona under our GOAT president, Bartomeu. So yeah.
Yeah, I also have nothing else. I guess you said everything, so nothing else to add on that. And coming to another Barca player, sounds quite little bit outrageous for me. It's Sergio Roberto being linked with Bayern Munich. So I get it why the link is coming. So Bayern Munich doesn't have that much depth in right back position right now, and this guy is quite a good player in right back right now. But I honestly don't think, unless Barcelona are seriously trying to offload even their big names also, I don't see this happening. I would love to see such a good player. He's definitely better than Bruno Sarro, obviously. So anybody better than that guy is acceptable for me. So Elijah, do you think this will happen? Sergio Roberto, will Barca even consider this?
Yeah, so the thing with Barcelona right now is they will consider anything that comes their way. That is how bad the financial situation is. But on the other hand, like last season, after Dest came in and he got regular game time, there were a lot of Barcelona faithful itself who kept saying Sergio Dest is playing for us anyway, so we don't need Roberto anymore. And apparently the few games he has played, people didn't like the way he played. I don't know what inflated expectations they have from people, but a large portion of the fan base did not like the way he played, and they were like, out with this guy and all. So next year his current deal will expire, and there was talk that they might offer him a new contract of maybe 2 years or 3 years. And honestly, I don't understand why. Yes, he is a very good squad player who can play in multiple roles. Yes, that makes sense. But right now, I think you have a lot of players who can do that. Like a lot of players for whatever position you want, you have players already. But having said that, a player who can play multiple roles is actually important. But you have 2 right backs now. You have Serginho Dest and you have Emerson Royal. So you have 2 right backs. If you need a left back, you have Jordi Alba and you sold Junior Firpo out. So I don't know how you're going to manage that. But other than that, I don't think Roberto has ever played on left back also. So it makes no sense to keep him. But the talk that Koeman likes him, and he's also a Barcelona faithful, and he was there since when Laporta was there last time. So he'll obviously want to keep players who have known him and have worked with him. The other thing is, would this, like, even if he's not playing, they would want to sell him for maybe around 20-25 million. But Bayern are known to do very good business, and 25 million for a Sergio Roberto who's 30 years old makes no sense. So even if they are willing to let Sergio Roberto go, it seems unlikely that Bayern will pay the money that Barcelona want. So either Barcelona will have to take a step back and say, okay, you can go and get game time wherever you're going, or the other option is that Bayern pay that money. And the second option is definitely not happening according to me, because I have known Bayern to be a very calculated team, especially regarding their expenses. They even let David Alaba go, and so it doesn't make sense to get players. And the other thing is why I don't think that the Bayern thing is happening. Maybe he may move out, but the Bayern thing is not happening is because Roberto earns a lot of money at Barcelona. So he might go for a slightly less wage, but Bayern would not pay him the money even if it's slightly less. So I don't know exactly how much he earns, but let's say he earns around like 10 million, or let's say even 8 million. Let's say right now he earns 8 million. It's an example, I don't know. Would Bayern want to pay 8 million for a player who's definitely not going to play every game? That makes no sense. So to Bayern, it does not make sense according to me, but maybe he can move elsewhere. So yeah.
Yeah, I also have exactly the same stuff to say. Also, the fact that right now Bayern are facing all the problems that Bayern are facing is actually due to a certain signing of Leroy Sané, which is ironic. And it is also due with wages. So they're trying to fix that right now, and I do not see any player coming right now who will be earning, especially 30-year-olds who will be earning more than 6 or 8, 7 million in Bayern. So that is something, unless and until he is ready to take a huge wage cut or something, that's just a small chance. Yeah, coming to another rumor, it's a rumor of a player possibly being linked with Barcelona. I'm talking about none other than Renato Sanchez. And he's still fairly young right now. He was a golden boy at one time. He's just 23 years old, central midfielder. And do you see this happening? If you see this happening, where do you think you will fit in the squad? I like how all the
Barca talks with me because I follow it. Yeah, so the problem with a signing like Renato Sanchez is obviously, first of all, we don't have the money to sign anybody. Even the free signings that we have, forget about the free signings. Even if they're going to offer Messi a contract extension, they still can't register him. That's how bad the financial situation is. This is not even a player who you are wanting to sign again. This is just a player whose contract has expired and you're offering him a contract extension. So even that will technically come under a new signing, so you can't even register Messi. So as of now, based on the financial situation that Barcelona are in, it doesn't look like it's happening. But even if they somehow manage to get the cash and sign him, the question is, where would he play? That free central role or that attacking role is already overloaded. They have Messi who drops in centrally and he links up play and he creates Anderson, etc., etc. You have Griezmann who plays as second striker there. Now there's Memphis Depay who plays through the left, or he plays as a striker who also tends to drop in centrally to link up play. If all of this also is not that, there is Coutinho who is an attacking midfielder who plays centrally. Like, it makes no sense to get him. But I think it's also a factor of getting a young player for a relatively reasonable price. So if they can, they will try to seal the move. But the other factor is they also have a lot of academy talent coming in. So if they are signing players from outside for positions that can be filled by academy graduates, it means that again they are going back to those dark days when they had to sign players from outside instead of depending on their own academy. And we have to remember that most of Barcelona's like that golden generation had come from their academy, and because they trusted the academy, they didn't have to pay astronomical wages. So they were a club always in profit back then.
Definitely.
But then since they started depending less on La Masia and started spending outside more like Dembele, Griezmann, Coutinho, etc., etc. There are so many players that we spent so much money on. It didn't work out. But then you saw as soon as Koeman came back, he started playing so many academy graduates that even the people who they paid money for were sitting on the benches, and sometimes they were not even named in the squad. So I think there is that shift, and according to what I am seeing happening around and the news I read, this is a thing that is not going to happen. But there is actually no but. I don't think it's going to happen actually. There is no money and they have enough players in that position. And if they need someone in that position, just promote someone from the academy, because the academy players, they're already paying them wages. So if you're just promoting them, you're just giving them a slight bump in salary. So it will be overall cost effective for you, and he'll also fit in the team seamlessly. You don't have to give them time to adapt and crap like that, because they are ingrained with that philosophy of playing or whatever that is called. So
Yeah, definitely. I also say I think Barca's academy is known for making world-class midfielders. You look at all the recent players that came out also, it's one position in which they can actually get a lot of players from their own academy. And also the fact that apparently multiple clubs are interested also, who might actually be more financially superior, make more stronger bids. Yeah, it's Liverpool, Spurs and Arsenal, but still they are in much better financial situation right now than Barcelona. So I guess they'll try to look into their academy if at all they need a player in that position. So I think that's all about Renato Sanchez, and we'll move on to the next deal. So Christian Romero is being linked with Tottenham. So if you don't know him, he's the centre back. He plays for Atalanta, and he's also an international for Argentina, and he played in the recent Copa America also. So he's been pretty solid, and he is very young also, just 23 years old. And Elijah, what do you think about this? And they are apparently valuing him, Tottenham are valuing him around 42 million pounds, which is around 50 million euros. So do you see this happening? Would you want to switch from Atalanta to Tottenham? Whether it be for money or game time, or maybe playing in the European competitions?
Yeah, so let's talk about why this deal might happen and why it might not happen. So if you're looking at a point of view of why it might happen, as of now Spurs do not have top quality defenders, and they will need someone who has experience in playing, who has experience in defending well, and also playing in a team which plays fast paced and attacking football that Nuno likes to play. So yes, Christian Romero is on loan from Juventus at Atalanta, but he has played quite I don't know how many games he's played, at least like 30-40 games for Atalanta, I guess. So he is experienced in that style. And if you're getting a young defender for around 40 million who already plays in a style that suits your current manager, it makes sense. And the other reason why I think it will happen is Tottenham need their players who are currently signing contract extensions to believe that they actually have a project, a long-term project which will actually be beneficial for the team, that they're planning for actually winning titles or actually qualifying for Champions League on a regular basis. So Son signed a deal till 2026 or something, I guess. So they're also trying to extend Harry Kane's contract a little bit more. He's already up till 2024 or something. They want to make sure that he finishes his career their types. So they want any incoming players and the players that they currently have to be in the team, and for that they need to show that we have a project, and for that we are recruiting these kind of players who fit our style. and we are serious about actually winning. So in that way, this signing makes sense because he's a young defender who plays really well. He's super tall. I think he's like around 6 feet and all, so he's quite
Yes.
tall. And you need that kind of players in the PL because it's a very, very, very physical game in England. And in that way, it makes sense for Spurs. But the caveat with Spurs always is, why would you switch from a team like Atlanta? I'm not saying Atlanta win titles regularly also, but joining Spurs is basically like condemning yourself to never winning titles again. So I don't know why someone would want to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm not being disrespectful, but I have legit never seen a Spurs team lift up a trophy since I was born, at least, or since when I was actively following football, which is at least a good.
I guess the last
7,
time
8,
they won
9,
was around
10 years,
2010 or something.
Yeah. So in the last 8, 9, 10 years that I've been following football, or at least the last 7 years that I've been following it like properly, I have not seen it happen. And it doesn't look like it's anywhere close also. The closest they got was that Champions League final, and after that it was all downhill only. So it makes no sense for that player to move there. But if he does go there, he will definitely require the time to settle into that squad, adapt to the playing style in England, adapt to life in England in the first place, and all of that. So even if he does move there, it's not going to be like instant results. And
Yes.
so these are the reasons why he won't move to Spurs. But
Yeah.
Spurs have the money right now. They are a club that actually have a lot of money. And once this is the thing that I keep saying, once stadiums open, teams like which have these big ass beautiful stadiums are going to get a shit ton of money. Teams
Definitely.
like Tottenham, they have a beautiful stadium, they're going to get a lot of money. Teams like Bayern, who have a beautiful stadium, when their fans come in, the ticket sales are actually a big source of revenue for all these teams. So when money comes back, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Dortmund, Bayern, Tottenham, and which other big stadiums are there? I don't know. Like all these teams with humongous stadiums, even Arsenal, Man City, and all. Man City, it's not like they need money, but yeah, all
United
these
also.
teams. Yeah, all these teams will get a lot of money from their ticket sales. So if the third wave doesn't affect things as badly and people can actually start coming into stadiums again, even if it's not full occupancy, but even if it's at 50% occupancy or 75% or whatever, there will be a sizable amount of cash coming in each match day. So that match day revenue is a lot. So once that happens, Spurs will definitely be able to sign whoever they want, and 40 million is not a big deal for them even right now. So there are 3 reasons why he can join and only 1 reason he can't. So yeah, you can decide it for yourselves. Yeah, Jitu.
Yeah, I'd like to say something. It's like the thing is with Spurs is that they're trying to negotiate. So I guess it's now their time, because no other club, other than maybe I'll come to only one other club, is interested in this player. So this is the best time for them to sign. They're not far from the valuation. See, Atlanta value him at around 51 million pounds. So Spurs are willing to offer only 42 million pounds. Why bargaining right now? What is the need for bargaining right now? Because this is the best time for them to spend the money, just buy the player. Anyway, they haven't spent a huge sum of money in the last 2 transfer windows and all. They haven't spent huge amounts of money. They have sold some players also. And if they're trying to bring it, it's better to bring it now. And apparently Barcelona is interested in this player, and they're going to save some money after offloading some of the players, and after clearing the wages issue and all. They're planning to push him for, and they're trying to outbid Tottenham. So that seems very complicated and very highly unlikely, but still, why wait for that? Go get the deal done. Why do you want to bring other clubs in? Right now it's just Barcelona, and it seems very unlikely they'll sign him. But what if some other clubs, some higher financial clubs who have a lot of money, comes and asks for this player? And a club which maybe has Champions League football, supposedly, if they're coming and asking for the player, and if they're matching the price, they'll go. Atalanta will definitely sell them to that player, and they might not even be able to outbid these new suitors also. So act now, act fast. That's what I'm telling, and I'm sure their new sporting director, he's quite experienced, and I think he might be able to do it. If they're planning to do it, it better be now. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, so I wanted to add that because of their new sporting director, it's deals like that are actually happening. Because I don't mean to disrespect any English clubs, but English players are generally overhyped. That English media is just venomous. So they're all overhyped and they're all overpriced also to me. They're not overrated. They're just overpriced and they're overhyped. None of the English players that I know, at least the ones that are actually performing, none of them are overrated. They are either overpriced or overhyped. So if they and as far as I've seen, only when they have a good sporting director who has a good sense, has a good scouting system, who has a good network, only they will make sensible signings like this. So I remember during the Copa America games, we were talking about Argentina's backline and we said we don't have any recognized names. So this guy was among those names. I am still not saying that he's a world-class player, a generational talent, he's going to beat people out of their shells and crap like that. No, I'm still not saying that. Because he hasn't had that much game time to prove himself. I think overall in his whole senior career, he would have played like around 150 games at the most, I guess. So he's still relatively a younger player. And he's like around 21, 22 years old, or maybe at the most 23 years old. So he's still a young player who has international experience. So I think that is why the asking price is around 51 million. And besides that, I think if he stays at Atlanta right now, he will definitely be a part of their starting 11 all the time. So I think that is why his cost is around 50 million, and I think that is a fair price to ask. And it's not like Tottenham are poor or anything of that sort. Arsenal could pay 50 million for a Premier League defender, and this guy actually has just won the Copa America and is coming to you. So he has experience. And the thing we have to understand about teams like Argentina who don't have good defense is, if you have good defensive partners and you're keeping clean sheets, it is good. But if you have no recognized names in your defensive part of your field and you're still managing to hold on to win titles, it says a lot about those defenders and how they can handle themselves in different scenarios. So that I think is a lot of credit to this guy. And if at all anybody has any doubts, you can just go back and watch the Copa America games. I'm sure he would have done decently, because otherwise he would not have been in talks right now.
Yeah.
And the thing we have to understand about the transfer market and the rumors right now are, all of these are a result of the things that have happened in the recent international tournaments and the Olympics that are going on now.
Yeah, this guy is 23 and he is already in the national team and he's already playing major tournaments also. That speaks about his quality, and he's definitely a quality player, and yeah, he's actually worth it also. Yeah. So coming to the next one, I guess I also don't have nothing else to add on to it. So coming to the next one, it's Paul Pogba. So there's been this huge another saga that might start soon regarding Pogba and whether he'll leave to PSG, whether he'll stay at Manchester United. So apparently there is only 1 year left not exactly 12 months left in his contract right now as of today. And United, as you all know, brought him for around 89 million pounds or something. It was a world record back then, until Neymar's transfer happened and rigged the transfer market. So it was a world record, and they might lose him for free, which is like a huge problem, especially since they've spent a lot of money this summer. 2 big transfers done, and they would want to save some of that money but with this. And although they have tried convincing him to stay and all, but he has rejected contract extension right now, so which further forces Man United to sell him as soon as possible, because if it becomes much more late and he's not signing a new contract, then clubs can easily get him for free. Getting Pogba for free, there will be tons and tons of suitors anyway. Despite his mixed performances, there will be a lot of suitors. Juventus might want to sign him. PSG are building some sort of a dream team right now. I'm mentioning it again, it looks very scary right now. They are bringing in legendary level players for each position. Each position they are bringing, it's like they can build 3 or 4 teams with their squad. So it's just insane. And PSG, as you all know, they can give up with how much of money. So if Man United are going to sell him, they should sell him now. And they might be able to get around at least 50 million for him, which is actually a very good amount, given that guy only has 1 year left in his contract. If at all that's not happening, they should push to make him stay, something like that. Otherwise, they'll be end up with huge losses either way. So, Elijah, your view on this, and how do you see this happening? Also, one more thing. The PSG fans do not like him at all, and they have started open protests near the stadium with banners and all. I don't know much regarding that, but yeah, they don't like the signing. But I guess, yeah, when you have a billionaire owner, it's he only who decides everything. So yeah, Elijah, your views on this?
Yeah, so I honestly don't see this happening right now, because Pogba is right now, I think, integral to the plans of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at United. So I think they would try their best to make sure that he stays. And even if he's leaving, I think they have to, like, they are going to charge a huge amount of money, especially if he's going to a club like PSG, who in all likelihood will be the direct competitors at a European level. So because United are also a strong team right now, and going into the UCL, like, you would not want to sell to people who you might face in knockout stages and who have the potential to actually knock you out. So doing that would be as dumb as being Barcelona. So no club would want to do that. So thinking in those terms, it is not happening. But the other thing is, I think a lot of people have also been saying this, like, how are clubs like PSG, how are clubs like Man City, and if Erling Haaland moves to Chelsea also for whatever record fee that he moves, how are these clubs able to afford these players, and what is FFP doing? So for people who didn't know, because of the current COVID pandemic situation, the FFP rules have been not been removed, but they have been relaxed to a certain extent, so that they can, it's because, like, clubs don't get match their revenue and various sources of income are stopped. So for now it has been relaxed to a certain extent. So because of that, people who actually have a shit ton of money with them can just go out and spend, because FFP rules don't technically apply now, at least not in the full strength. So clubs like PSG, Man City and Chelsea, who have so much money that it can break your mind, they can just flex their muscles and say, like, yeah, I have money, I am spending, what are you going to do? There's nothing you can do. So if PSG wants and Pogba is willing, they can move. And as the other reason why I think this deal can go through is because Pogba has a superstar agent who manages other brilliant ass players, and this guy is a pain in the ass of every football fan around the world. He's also the agent for Haaland. I don't know, he's the agent for so many people.
Super agent.
So without going into that, I want to point out the incident that happened not too long ago, I think last year only, when there was talk that Pogba is not happy with how things are being managed in United and he wants to leave and all of that. And who said that? His agent said that.
Yes.
So, and that time they were like, okay, you should control your agent and all, some bullcrap and all. The most important factor there is Pogba was asked about it and he neither confirmed nor denied it. He never in explicit terms said this is bullshit, I'm not going there, and neither did he in explicit terms say that yes, I am going there. So I think if the fee is right and Pogba gets to play in a team that is most likely going to win the CL this year, he will move, because it's a no-brainer. So in that way, I think it might happen. The reasons why it will not happen is because it's integral to part of United's this thing. And yeah, like before he went to UAE also, he was a United player and it was like a homecoming thing for him and all, some nostalgic romantic shit and also, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I also have nothing else to add into it. It all depends. It all depends whether United wants him in their plans and they're willing to compromise with him and make him stay, or they're just going to sell him for make some money out of it. It all depends out of it. And yeah, moving to the next one, it's about Merih Demiral. So he's being linked with Borussia Dortmund. So I don't know, like he's just 23 years old. He's a Turkish international. He's just 23 years old, and Juventus are planning to sell him. Actually, there's something sort of a financial issues that is happening in Juventus also right now, which I recently found out. They're also struggling with a lot of debt and issues right now. They also might be selling some players, and that is also one of the big reasons they haven't made any move for signing any player, and the links of Ronaldo probably leaving, all those things, even though those things have gone out, but still, yeah. So he's just a 23-year-old. He's not starting as of now. I guess he's a sub. Obviously Chiellini and Bonucci will be starting, I think, for how long maybe, and after their performance in the Euros, I honestly don't think any youngster will get chance over them right now, unless or until they get injured. So Dortmund are linked with him, and I can understand it why, because centre back last season only Mats Hummels was the only player that was keeping the defense together, and he can only do that to a certain extent, and Akanji was there sort of in and out. He was doing, but he was very inconsistent and sometimes not reliable in certain games. On his day he used to be good, but so I guess they are bringing him as an extra option to add into the depth, and maybe if he plays good he can start for Dortmund also. And for him, since he's a young player also, it will be good for developing also. And Bundesliga might not be like where you learn like perfect defending. Obviously Italy is still the best league for defending right now. Some teams, among the teams, and Juventus are among the teams who play traditional Italian football right now, but still it will improve his attacking play, and he'll get a lot of game time also compared to when he's in Juventus. But so do you see this happening? And how do you see this happening?
So according to me, I think it will most likely be a loan deal and not a permanent transfer, because Juventus are right now having financial issues, but like I said, once the stadiums open up and things return to some sort of normalcy or resemble normalcy, I think cash will start flowing in a little bit better, and then they might be able to afford wages and also, because this is a 23-year-old player, and he's a Turkish international player, so he plays alongside Ozan Kabak and all of those. So both of them are a similar age profile, and for people who don't know how he plays, if you have seen Ozan Kabak play, he plays like a similar style, and he's around the same height, he's around like 6 feet 2 or something like that. So he has the physicality that is needed for a good defender, and if at all he does get a move to Dortmund, permanent or loan, I think it will be a good prospect for Dortmund in the long term, because they need good defenders who are young. Maybe only Akanji is like young right now, so other than that they need to get defensive signings. And for a person who has played for his national team, who has played a few games for UA and other small teams, it will be definitely a good partnership to build alongside whoever is playing. But if he does stay at UA also, he might be like Jittu said, they were not going to make him a starter anyway. So I don't know, it's very difficult to predict this, but I think if they are tempted with the right offer for sale, because he did not move to Juventus.
No, I have something to add. Like apparently Juventus are valuing him at 35 million. I forgot to add that also. So now do you see this happening?
Yeah, so I'll tell you why they are valuing him at 35 million. They bought him for around 20 million or something apparently. So if you got a player for 20 million and then you made him play like around 30 games or whatever he played, I don't know how many games he played, around 20-30 games that he's played, it means he has experience playing alongside the best of the best. So automatically that should increase as this thing. And besides that, he is a Turkish international right now. After they bought him, he played a few more games for a Turkish international. So for people who really don't follow football much and only listen to our podcast because you're our friends or whatever, to understand this, if you're an international player, obviously your value goes up. So whenever we say that, oh yeah, he's an international player and that's why it's worth buying him, you have to understand that in the international scene, you don't have clubs and all that. So you literally select the best people you have available who hold your nationality. So that the competition is immense. Like the competition is huge in that. So if you are actually an international player, it doesn't matter for which country it is. If you're an international player, it means that you're really, really good. So when we say he's an international player, so yeah, his cost will be a little bit more. That is why we say it. So 35 million, I guess, is a little too much and something that I don't think Dortmund will want to spend. But if they can get him anything under 30, like around 25, 28 or something of that sort, maybe they will consider buying him. But in all likelihood, it will be a loan deal. If a deal is happening, it most likely will be a loan deal because that's just how Dortmund rolls. So yeah.
Yeah, something which they could do is a loan deal with an option to buy, whether they've recognized his talent and want to buy him. So I only see that also. I also see that happening only. And yeah, nothing else to add on it. And we'll come to the last one. So this is a deal which a lot of Bayern fans, including me, would have wanted. And I'd say now is the time to go for this deal right now, because this guy is not being linked with any other clubs as of now, and he's virtually not that known. So I'm talking about under 23 Brazilian national team player. His name is Antony, and he plays for as a right winger. So winger, as you all know, see, Bayern's two most weakest positions right now is probably having a fourth winger and a right back. So these positions need desperately good players. Not only, you can't just add players. And last season you saw what happened when you just added random players. Douglas Costa was a flop, Bruno Sarr was a flop. In the end, these guys, the Hansi Flick was not confident with these guys to start them, and ended up starting only the first 11, which ended up in causing lots of injuries, and they ended up losing in the quarterfinal to PSG. So this is actually a good thing. I hope it happens, and because he's a very good, talented player. If you don't know, if you want to watch his games, he's playing for Brazil in the Olympics right now. And Brazil have made it through the quarterfinals. So if you want to see how he plays, please check it out. And he has made over, I guess, around 100 plus appearances in total, around 80, 90 appearances in total. And he's currently playing in the Eredivisie. Last season was his first season also. And he played a lot of games, and he was quite good for them also. So he's playing for Ajax also. As you all know, Ajax won the Eredivisie last season, also the Dutch Cup also. So, and I just want to see a winger come to Bayern. That's all. This is just purely from my point of view, but still. And I hope they don't mess it up, because apparently, according to the Bayern sporting director, they are prioritizing the Champions League, and so far I have not seen anything other than maybe signing Upamecano. Nothing from their part to show that they want to win Champions League. So if you want to win the Champions League, the best thing you can do is have squad depth, especially now when you look at how all the other squad, even the teams who were not so good in the last 2 years. You look at Manchester United, they are making huge signs, they are improving their team. And you look at Chelsea, they are trying to build upon their success last year. Man City already has a big team. And you look at PSG, who are arguably now on paper the favorites to win next year, maybe after that also. So there's ridiculous competition. It's not the scene that was before when Bayern won the Champions League. And they don't have that team also, so they need to take it seriously. Otherwise it's be like you wait for next 7 years and hope a good crop of players come and win the Champions League. I hope that is not the case right now. And coming to the player, he is quite fast, and also since he's Brazilian, he's quite technically good also as well. And all in all, I guess, I'm not sure how his pressing game works, because Bayern do press a lot, but I'd say Nagelsmann is a flexible coach. It will not just be regarding flexing this thing and all. And also, if I'm not wrong, he can also play as a right wing back, so which is also good, adaptable. That's an adaptability. And if you look at Davies also, he was also a winger and he ended up becoming right back. So since he's such a young player, he's just 21, you can train him in other positions also. It's not too late also. He can make him adapt also. So it's a good signing, and he's relatively cheap also right now, since no clubs have approached Ajax till now. So yeah, that's all. Do you have anything to add on it?
Yeah, so he's a Brazilian, so I obviously like any Brazilian because they have that flair with which they play. So besides that, this guy is tall, this guy is fast, he has the style, he has the flair. And for people who don't know that he before moving to Ajax he played for Sao Paulo. So for people who don't know anything about Sao Paulo is among the most, if not the most successful Brazilian sides of all time. So
Yes.
he's played like for 2 years or something for them, and he's played really well, and that is what earned him a move to Ajax. And from the day he joined Ajax, I think they considered him a starter, and he has always been playing for Ajax. So in one season itself, he's had some like 40 appearances or something, and he's done quite well. I'm not saying that he's like the main player and all that, but he's fast, he's technically good, he has good vision, he can link up very well. So like these are all the things that a star team needs, and Bayern are known to be like very smart business wise. So if they can get him for any cost, like I'm pretty sure the Ajax are not going to like quote inflated amount for him, despite him being super talented, because he's not being hyped as much as other people are. So
Yes.
uh, I think he'll either move to Bayern or he'll move to one of those Red Bull clubs eventually because that's how people step up. So the thing that we have to notice is he's only 21 right now. So if you're judging him by the amount of games he's played, you have to understand that he's played around like 100 games by 21, and 100 games are like almost the highest level. And like I have not watched all the Olympic games, but I watched like 2 Brazil's games, and like they were decent. So this team is actually playing quite well. And in the Olympics, it's because like primarily the under 23s only play with like 1 or 2 main players. So you can see all these guys playing, and this guy is actually quite fast. So if he does, like I second Jittu in saying that you have to make signings if you want to be serious Champions League contenders. And exactly like Jittu said, like Manchester United are signing so many players, Chelsea signed a shit ton of players last season. These people, Dortmund are also making signings despite selling. So like everybody is making moves. You don't have to look very far also. Even Leipzig is making signings. Like as far as I know, Leipzig is mostly like promoting from Salzburg or something of that. That's what I used to think of.
Leipzig,
I know they used to make
something
signings.
ironic I have to say, Leipzig are the club which has spent most in this transfer window from the Bundesliga. So that's how how much busy they've been over the last 1 month. Yeah,
Yeah, so like they are changing that idea that people have about them, because I have always thought like Leipzig is that club that where all these Red Bull teams, they'll have good players, they'll just keep promoting them till they get to Leipzig. But this season they've gone mad. They're finding talents, and they're like, okay, the competition is less, or they're like the price is right, we'll just buy him. And Leipzig are also building a pretty good team, so they might actually mount a very very good challenge for the Bundesliga this year, judging like, because Leipzig very rarely I think they make bad moves. Like all of their moves are smart. They're literally the smartest business people I've seen in the whole bloody world. They sell everyone for like, we talk about Dortmund and all of that, but they sell players who they bought for pennies, and they sell them for like millions and millions of dollars. So like if they are signing a player, I'm pretty sure that guy is going to be a star in the future. So immediately for the upcoming season, I think like they are going to mount a very good challenge, and they're going to take it right to Bayern, the attack to Bayern. And so Bayern have to make something, because like Jittu said, the squad depth is just not there, and they have to shore up players, because there was even talks of people like Granit Xhaka and all joining. So that's how bad the situation is. So they need to make signings, and I think it's too premature to start panicking if your club, the club that you support, is not making any signings yet, because we are still 2 days away from August starting, and maybe by August second week or something we'll see the transfer market gaining speed, because then it closes in like 2 or 3 weeks. So then people will start getting into panic mode. They'll be like, oh shit, we haven't signed anybody, let's do this. So that is the time that when you're going to hear like mad news everywhere.
Yes.
And I think that's all we have to add.
Yeah, just a quick note. So this is something which a rumor that came up before after we put up this schedule for this. So Jules Koundé is apparently being linked with Chelsea, and it's very serious, and you can expect a move in return. They're very serious bid for him, and it's quite I don't know why they're doing is because maybe Christensen was not that good, but Rudiger definitely after Tuchel came in, he was phenomenal. He was very good. Even for Germany also, he played quite well. So if Kunde is coming, I doubt they would have convinced him that he will be getting first team minutes. So someone might have to step down, maybe Christensen. I don't think Rudiger will be stepping down also. So if you don't know much about Kunde, guys, so Kunde is he's not your typical tall centre back. He's less than 6 feet, so he's basically smaller than me. So that's how he is. But he jumps like a huge guy. He's very good at jumping, and he makes up for his lack of height with the jumping ability, and which is very good. And also the fact that he's a pretty good tackler. So he's a very clean tackler. Rarely makes that odd mistakes. The only downgrade in this that Kunde is actually coming from a not so good season. His best season was actually the season in Sevilla, won the Europa League. People start to take notice of Jules Kunde. I think maybe all those pressure, everything built up, and he didn't quite have a good season last year. That's only down point in this. And I see things happening, and I don't see, like, almost everybody has confirmed this is almost going to happen, and I don't see why this is going to happen. Chelsea have the money that Sevilla would probably ask. Sevilla also would be wanting some money so that they can spend it on the transfer market, buy some good other players. So I see this happening, and Elijah, your views on this, and yeah, please.
Yeah, so like Jittu said, if Chelsea are buying Kunde to make him sit on the bench, that is an atrocity. That is definitely an atrocity. Because Kunde is such a damn good player. I'm telling you, at least this season in the La Liga, he was a standout player. Like, he was a player that everyone would sit up and take notice. That's how good he was, and that's why there's so much talk of him moving everywhere. And based on the news rumors, we've heard that he's already agreed personal terms. It's only a matter of time between Sevilla and Chelsea sort it out. So if he does move to Chelsea, the question is who concedes their spot? Like, Thiago Silva is not going anywhere. He's at least going to stay 1 or 2 years more, and he's going to be that senior figure helping the youngsters learn their thing. And also, as of what we've heard, Kurt Zuma is going to be a part of that exchange deal kind of thing. So Zuma will move to Sevilla, and this guy will move here, and they will pay a little bit of cash or something of that sort. So I really don't see, like, Christensen, Rudiger, Thiago Silva, Kunde. Who else is there? These are like at least the big 4 names if they get it. So maybe they'll keep rotating Thiago Silva and make Thiago Silva play only the big games, and Kunde can play the PL, or Christensen and Kunde will keep switching like every few games, so each of them get ample game time. And I think that is the plan for now. But seriously, if they are going to buy Kunde and make him sit on the bench, no, I am telling you, that is the biggest atrocity they would have committed in recent years.
Even bigger than Donny van de Beek sitting.
Donny van de Beek is a different thing only. It's like, I was about to say that, like, that is doing what United did to Van de Beek. Because, like, I'm seriously telling you, Man United fans, if you've never seen Van de Beek play, like actually play, go watch how he used to play at Ajax. That fellow, De Jong and all, were absolutely unstoppable. Both of them used to have fun on field. Winning the game or not is a different thing. You would be entertained just watching them on the field, because they would be lively. They would be all around the field, just running their hearts out, trying to get the ball as much as possible, trying to progress the ball as much as possible. And what is he doing at United? Sitting in the bench. Sometimes he's not even named on the bench. So that's quite sad. And like, the Ajax fans are like huge fans of him. Like, when he left to United also, you should have seen the reception he got when he was leaving. The city went mad. So I just hope they do right by him, and if they're not going to use him, just sell him. It doesn't matter to who you sell him, just sell him. Make him play football, make him do the thing that he loves to do. So
don't destroy his career.
The same thing applies to Kunde. Yeah, so I think that's all. Yeah, Jit, anyone else to add?
Yeah, I guess that's all.
I have one more person to talk about.
Okay.
So there's talk of Shaqiri leaving Liverpool right now, because he's apparently had a talk with the board, and they've said, like, if you want to leave, you can leave. So right now people in talks, apparently he's in talks with Lazio and Napoli, and he also wants to play in Italy apparently. So I think all of this is a result of his good showing in the Euros, and I genuinely believe Shaqiri deserved more than what he got at Liverpool, because he's actually a very, very good player, and he just didn't fit that style. and he couldn't give what the squad demanded of him or what the coach demanded of him. So if he gets a move elsewhere and he gets to perform, that's really good, because the guy is a really, really good player, and you saw that during the Euros. So if he does get a move out, it also means that Liverpool will get some money, and then the transfer market. That's the thing. It's all about signing, like one team spending money. Once a team spends money, the transfer market gets moving. I will give you an example of how this happened, because the Bayern signed Upamecano and they got Nagelsmann from Leipzig. With that money, they went and bought a whole bunch of other players. So that's how that moved. Dortmund, they sold Sancho, and with that money, they got this Malen guy. And in the PL, once the Arsenal have started off the thing by buying Ben White. So it's only a matter of time before that money gets reinvested elsewhere. So if once Liverpool get money, they will invest this money elsewhere and try to get another player. So that's how it all starts. So now we are entering into August, and I think we just 1 or 2 signings of around 30-40 million away from the transfer market is coming back to life once and for all. So yeah, I think we should keep an eye on this Shaqiri news and see where he goes. Other than Shaqiri, apparently even Origi has to be offloaded, and other than that, what is there? Any other place? Wait, I think I read something somewhere. The Kingsley Coman thing has not been sorted out yet, and there are still rumors flying around about where he might go.
Yes.
So any news on that, we will update you through our Instagram page or whatever it is. Other than that, I think we're done.
Yes, I guess that's all for today, and we'll be releasing as 2 parts. So I guess we mentioned earlier in the earlier episode. So this will be a separate part, since both of them almost took around 1 hour. So thank you for listening, anyways, and subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram, and join our community, please. The link is there.
You seem super sleepy.
Okay. Join our community, please. So we are open to everybody. So please do join and do contribute. You can also contribute to us. It doesn't have to be you have to contribute in terms of money. So you can just share news also. We also work sort of like that. We have people sharing. Yeah, we have a small group of people around. It's not that big, so the more people come, the more info we get about stuff, and more we can contribute to our podcast and our videos. Yeah, so that's all, I guess. Subscribe, hit the bell icon, and that's all. This is Jittu signing off. Bye bye.
Okay,